you. That's very kind. Thank you. Can you guys hear me okay? Is this okay? Thanks for coming out. This is a lot of people. I have been in Eliot Bay Books many times, but I've never seen like the secret parts of it. So this is very exciting to me. Like I just got to go to the bathroom, and it was like through a garage and then some offices, and I was like, where are we? Like I think we're in the middle of Capitol Hill or something. Anyway, it's nice to see you guys. I am Ken Jennings. I think what we'll do is I'll talk a little bit about the book, and then I don't know how this is going to go, but I want to do an impromptu geography quiz. I've written a couple trivia books, and it's pretty fun when we turn the signing into a game show. I don't know what C-SPAN's going to think about that, but we're going to do a little geography quiz show and see how it goes, and we'll do some Q&A, and then I'll sign some books. And hopefully it will not be as long as it sounds, because when I go to book signings, I sort of like it when the author sort of errs on the side of, you know, getting me home in time for Jeopardy. There we go. If there are any other jokes I can't finish, I just want you guys to yell it out, you know. I'll just set them up and you guys can knock them down. My name's Ken. The book is called Maphead. I am a Maphead. It sort of sounds like a 12-step thing, you know, like my name's Ken J and I am a Maphead. But it's true. I am a fan of maps in all their forms. The experience. Maybe somebody in here tonight. Anybody here a Maphead? Yeah. Do you guys want to share my little creed? My name is, your name here, with initial, and I'm a Maphead. The book was sort of born out of an experience I had a couple years ago. I was going through my parents' garage, which is a huge, huge pile of books. I mean, I know everybody's parents' garage is a huge pile of boxes, but my parents' garage looks like the last shot in Raiders of the Lost Ark. I mean, it is huge. And my mom had said they'd just found like one more box of mine. So I was going through the pile trying to find it, and I opened it up and I was pulling stuff out, and it was just like a time capsule of like high school. It was and my childhood. It was like comic books and like mixtapes. Some of you people won't know what that is, but mixtapes. And at the bottom there was one heavy thing left, and it was this big old green Hammond World Atlas, 1978. And it was this weird Proustian moment for me. I was like, oh my gosh, you know, I hadn't seen it for a while. It was like finding your beloved stuffed animal at the bottom of a box or something, because this thing had been a very meaningful childhood companion for me. I saved up all my allowance when I was 7 or 8 to buy this atlas, because even at that time I was already like a total map nerd. I could look at maps for hours. I would read atlases for pleasure the way, you know, a more normal kid would be reading Clifford the Big Red Dog or whatever. I'd be paging through the atlas. And it was just this amazing moment of connection to see this again after so much time. And I realized that I'd spent many of the years since then sort of in the closet, as it were, as a maphead, you know, because you realize very quickly, especially as you get older, that, you know, liking geography a lot, it's not like a hit with girls, for one thing. It's not a hit with the opposite sex, let me put it that way. Or the same sex, whichever. And you know, you realize socially it's often a liability and not an asset. And it's sort of the love that dare not speak its name. You know, people don't talk a lot about how much they just love looking at maps. But as I started writing the book, you know, people would ask me what I was working on, and I'd sort of apologetically say, and this is to friends, sort of apologetically say, oh, it's a book about maps and people who like maps, you know. Like that would not really justify any kind of advance, you know, like they'd be like, what? And it was amazing how many people were like, oh, I love maps. You know, are you kidding? And many people would sort of be like, oh, I love maps. You know, like, like they were also aware of the social costs of being a bit of a cartophile. But you know, I remember in college having a roommate that coming into our apartment for the beginning of a new semester and having a new roommate, a sort of a geeky Canadian guy named Sheldon. I'm not fictionalizing the nerdy name for the story, actually named Sheldon. And he already had up on the walls of the place were already just papered with National Geographic maps. And like I had spent my childhood looking at National Geographic maps. Like I should have been over the moon at this. And instead I was like, oh boy, like we are never going to see a single girl in here, for one thing. I guess like on the plus side, I just became the like the second, you know, least desirable or attractive person in this apartment, which is very exciting for me. But I was not really true to my maphead roots, is what I'm trying to get across. And writing this book was a real pleasure, because I did get to meet with a lot of different kinds of people who have these sort of geographically geeky, for lack of a better word, hobbies. Map librarians. I got to hang out in the map division in the bowels of the Library of Congress, which is very cool. It's like 3 football fields of map cabinets, 9,000 cabinets just full of maps. And I remember the librarian could just open them seemingly at random and be like, yeah, here's a map of a plantation in Virginia. George Washington drew it, you know. like he could do this seemingly at will, just amazing treasure trove. Hung out with geocachers, you know, people who were using the GPS revolution to, well, I mean, they're using, let's face it, they're using multi-billion-dollar military satellites to find Tupperware hidden in the woods. It's actually a Pacific Northwest creation. The first geocache was in Portland, and the company that maintains the website is in Fremont now. They just moved from Belltown like last year, I think. Who else did I get to hang out with? The National Geographic Bee kids. Washington, by the way, has won more National Geographic Bees than any other state. Represent Washington. These kids are amazing. Like, they're like middle school, and when I did a little geography quiz with them, like, there's a girl in Redmond, a young woman in Redmond, who won the Bee a couple years ago. And just for fun, I gave her a list of geography questions that I'd seen on game shows, some of which I'd gotten right, some of which I had not gotten right. And Caitlin just smoked me. She was amazing. She like got one wrong. I'd gotten half of them wrong. These kids are amazing. And I started to see, as I hung out with people like this, people who are into maps of fantasy worlds, road geeks who are obsessed with the interstate system, systematic travelers, like people that like to go to every something on Earth, every Starbucks, every country, every high point, you know, people who have a lifelong checklist of places they must step one toe in and then, you know, head back to the airport. The thing that these people all had in common that occurred to me was they're explorers. You know, they're modern-day explorers. They were born too late. They're born in a world that, for better or for worse, is already explored. I mean, let's face it, maps are not quite as fun as they used to be when there were big white spaces full of sea serpents and cannibals and stuff. We've been everywhere now, you know. There might be blank places left, but they're the places that suck, you know. There's a reason why Antarctica's blank on the map. And you know, these are people, the things that we map now, when we talk about mapping now, we're mapping the stars, we're mapping the human genome, but these are people who clearly miss a time when you could map something that would surround you, you know, a territory, a location, a place you could explore. And so they reinvent exploration by making old places new, you know. They hide geocache-filled Tupperware in city parks endlessly, and they draw maps of new fantastic places, and they you know, lose themselves in the contours of antique maps if they're collectors. These are sort of the equivalent of modern-day explorers, I think, and it was fascinating to spend a little time with them. I'm going to read a short segment, again, short. This is the part of the reading that when I'm in your chairs, I think always drags a bit, so I'm not going to speed read or anything, but this is a brief section from Chapter 4 of Maphead. This is actually the part where I'm hanging out at the Library of Congress with the map librarian, and it's about the place names on maps, which have always sort of held a special appeal for me. As long as I've loved maps, I've been an enthusiastic toponymist, a student of place names. Maps that aren't dotted with text look barren and lonely to me. What could be more solace than one of those grade school outline maps of a region with only a few sad oil derricks or ears of corn drawn on it to depict industry or agriculture? These are the abominations that make kids hate geography. Names are the alchemical infusion that bring a map to life. There may be poetry in the curl of a coastline, but there's personality in a Humpty-Doo Australia, or a Oaxaca, Mexico, or a Chililabombwe, Zambia. The great Flemish cartographer Abraham Ortelius evidently agreed with me. In his 1570 atlas, he labeled his imaginary southern continent of Terra Australis with tantalizing place names like Land of Parrots, Cape of the Good Signal, and Sweetest River. No one had ever actually been to these non-existent places, but hey, it was either that or leave an entire landmass suspiciously naked. To this day, I feel a nostalgic warmth when I see obsolete map labels like Tanganyika and Ceylon and British Honduras. I've never been to these countries, of course, but their names are as direct a conduit to my childhood as the smell of a school cafeteria or the piano line from an Air Supply song. I plan my vacations around places like Lanfair, Pool, Gwyn, Gil, Goguri, Quinn, Drobe, Willanty, Silio, Go, Whales. That's all one word. St. Mary's Church in the hollow of the White Hazel near to the rapid whirlpool of Lantilisio of the Red Cave, as every trivia fan should know. And made sure to get my picture taken during our trip to Thailand next to the block-long sign at Bangkok City Hall that prints the city's full 163-letter name. Names don't have to be long to be memorable. You could spend months in Britain just visiting all the naughty little lanes and villages that seem to have been named by Benny Hill. Titty Ho, Scratchy Bottom, Wet Wang, East Breast, Cockplay. In an American road atlas, the eccentric town toponyms all seem full of folksy roadside history. Cheesequake, New Jersey. Goose Pimple Junction, Virginia. Ding Dong, Texas. And most of these places came by their names honestly. Goose Pimple Junction was once home to a warring couple whose noisy obscenities would make neighbors' skin crawl.